Hello, a very warm welcome back to the eRacing GP. There's Corkin and Alex Young on duty for the silver, and I'm sure we'll get another friend in for the gold classes. Round 2 of 5 of Season 5 of the eRacing GP Global Edition, and we are at Hockenheim. Let's just give you a quick update on where we are in the 4 categories that we've got. We've got 4 categories: copper, bronze, silver and gold. And the leaders at the moment in copper, Kelvin Power, Malaysia. Bernard Chan, I think, will retain his lead after the races earlier on today, also Malaysia. Nur Shazliezhan is the Singaporean leading the silver class, which is next up. And Australia's Josh Purwin, at last leading the way with a victory last week. That gold is still to come. Into the overall championship of the silver class, Nur Shazliezhan 7 points clear of Malaysia's Jun Cheng. Ryan Keith and Darren Ivan making it 3 out of 4 for Singapore. Mark Voltaire Elman was quick, as was Gav Quintos, as was Mark Don Dikembe, Mohammed Khalif, Wei Seong and Bernard Chan completing a top 10 with 3 different nations. And so we are in practice. We've got about 8 minutes left of practice, quite a long way. So, Alex, quick thoughts before we go on to a flying lap around Hockenheim. And it's been a solid start. And Nur Shazliezhan, who we're on board with, we've seen him race pretty well. We've seen him be competitive. We've not seen him be at the top of leaderboards. Is he good enough to stay there?
Yeah, I think he is. He was very impressive in round 1. He could have almost won both races if he'd just been a bit more... Well, actually, a bit more lucky, I suppose. He got punted off into a spin in race 2, didn't he? Or half spin. So he's going to be very hard to beat today. There are a lot of drivers who aren't in silver at the moment because they're off karting and stuff. But there's still plenty of good competition. Darren Ivan is there. Jun Cheng is also another driver who's improved a lot. James Russel is joining us today as well, and we know how quick he can be as well. So... while it's going to have some very good competition, Shazliezhan, I think, is going to be hard to beat today.
What about the Filipino entrance? Mark Voltaire Elman looked very, very quick early on in race 1. In fact, he got himself in a top 10 position to finish. And Marv Don Dikembe had an instant-packed race 2, but they're always fun, the Filipinos, and there's plenty of support for them on Facebook as well. Yeah,
they are actually, and they're going to be strong as well. I think we saw. Mark win race 2, didn't we, in round 1? So that was a really good result from him. Let's see if we can get him on shot right now. There he is in the Shell BMW. So he'll be a factor today as well. And the problem is Filipinos have been a bit of a victim of their own success. We've seen other drivers like Zuro Sumidabila, who is so strong. But because he won silver last time, he's up to gold now.
Well, you've got to be the best, beat the best to be the best. That's the old answer. We're at Hockenheim today. I believe we've got a flying lap, and for once it's not Miko Nasi doing the flying lap. It's our friend Ayman Akim Tadashi.
As you can see here, it's a hot lap mode, time attack mode there. Starting on the 3rd sector, last 2 corners here, you want to bring as much speed as possible down into the start-finish straight here. You want to place your car far right to the left here to get into your first turn here. Get it right. Get all the speed, get it wrong, you will lose all the speed here. As we can see here, get it a little bit of wrong there, losing a little bit of time into the 2nd corner here. You want to spot your braking a little bit early here, clip the apex and get a little bit sliding here. That's not what you want. You want to get a good exit here, because this is where the make or break of your race here. It's a long left parabolica. This is where you want to plan your overtake, plan your move, plan your dinner, plan where you want to go after the race. But do not forget, there's a braking zone into this hairpin here. You don't want to miss it and go back to the forest behind there. It's not ideal. It's not ideal where you want to go. As we exit the hairpin there, nice and smooth on the throttle here. Into the right-hand king here, into the Mercedes arena here, Mercedes curve. We're driving a Mercedes. Hopefully you can hear a little bit of crouch here into the weekend here. As you can see here, 2nd gear, 3rd gear, a little bit of lift off to the right hand corner here. You want to eliminate the understeer. As we can see here, 4th gear, 5th gear, down into the closing to the stadium section here. You want to clip inside as much as possible here. 4th gear, 3rd gear, down to 2nd here. This is where Sebastian Vettel lost his lead in the 2018 German Grand Prix here. We don't want to do that as well. As we can see here, down into the double last 2 corners here, there's a drag strip around this left hand side there if you want to know. And yeah, here we go. That's the lap of me in Hockenheimring.
Creative stuff, that one, Tadashi, wasn't it? Plenty of little bits and pieces in there. Another commentator in the making. Thousands of you boys. But stake out on the tracks because you're pretty good as well. We'll see more from Tadashi later on in the gold class. In the silver, how are you seeing this? Nur Shazliezhan to maintain his fabulous start?
Yeah, I think Nur Shazliezhan is going to be very strong. But I'm also very curious to see how Jun Cheng goes. Jun Cheng was... he finished second in the race 1, and he was right there with Shazliezhan for the whole race. And I've been quite impressed with him because he has taken a step forward. We've always known Shazliezhan is a very strong driver, actually. Even before this Global Edition 5 started, I would have picked him as my pre-championship favourite. But I've been impressed with Jun Cheng, how much he's improved. He also took part in gold class at the last round as well, and really held his own. So I think he's going to keep on going and going, and I don't think he's reached anywhere near his true potential yet.
Well, let's see on that one. We've got Nois O, who's here once again. We can never not mention Nois because he adds a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of Japanese extravagance, but only ever achieved one podium. With a smaller field today, his chances are increased, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. I think he finished on the podium once in one of the reverse grid races. He can be quick, can't he? But he is a bit up and down, and when he's down, he can be quite at the back, can't he? But another driver that last Global Edition I thought was improving quite well, and then he kind of plateaued. So it'd be nice to see if he can put in a bit more practice, see if we can get him finishing on the podium in his own right, especially in race 1. Because race 1 is where it's more prestige, I guess, because it's not a reverse grid race. Whereas race 2, while the race lengths are the same, you can sometimes benefit from a reverse grid race. So race 1 is really the one that the drivers want to win.
Also more points available as well, which is an important ingredient in a short championship like this. I was just going to mention Justin Hung out of Hong Kong, but he's just pulled off the circuit. Maybe we'll wait till he gets onto the circuit. And how about Wei Xiong? Are we ever going to see Wei Xiong competing at the top level? He's such an enthusiastic competitor, but once you hit the silver and the gold classes, it just seems to be a little bit above his level at the moment.
Yeah, so I mean, Wei Xiong and Kai Wen, they're both from Blue Steel Racing, and they're super. They're the legendary enthusiasts of the sport. So they've been around for a little bit, always there racing, always there on their rigs, but they're also helping out others. Helping out others with servers, advice. Very, very free with their advice, and real. I think real. I would almost say cornerstones.
Yeah, backbone stuff, isn't it?
Backbone stuff for Malaysian esports.
1 minute and 20 seconds to go in practice. As usual, we've got the 2 races coming your way. 5-minute qualification, where we'll work out the grid for race number 1. Then the reverse grid on race number 2. 25, 20, 16, etc. points available for race 1. And reduced points 15, 12, 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for race 2. So in a championship, a sprint championship of 5 races, although you can throw one set of results away, you can't really afford a bad round because it puts you under pressure, an early bad round because it puts you under pressure later on in the season.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, yeah, it's exactly right. You don't want to be in that position, and there'll be a few of these guys who had very bad round 1s, which will have to throw it away. But you're right. You're under pressure for that. It's better to just get 5 good results. And if you have to throw away points, throw away points from one round that's got lots of points on is okay. But yes, there is that last race of the season, the 5th race, which it's good because it means there's a good chance you'll still be in a chance of fighting for the championship.
Hockenheim, you've driven there several times. You like the circuit?
I don't actually. It's a very tricky track. It's not actually a tricky track. It's actually a very simple track. But I don't have very good memories of that track. I've not had good races there. I like the old one. The old one was special. The one that went off into the trees where it was a high-speed game of chess. I think, there was 4 straights. You're over 300 kilometers per hour in an F1 car, or even a Formula 3000 car, which I had raced in back then. Those were, and it was really gritty racing. And if you make a small mistake, you're in the barrier, in the trees, sort of thing. It's a bit more sterile now. It's great. It's still a good track, but it's lost. I preferred the old one.
A rare moment of negativity from Alex Young mark this date. We'll also mark the qualification. Qualifying has started, and we are on board with Hong Kong's Justin Hung. Let's see how he gets underway. 5 minutes around this track. They'll probably get two laps in, so there's an opportunity for them to set a timer and then a banker lap and then go for a quick time.
Yeah, shall we ride on board right now with Hung as he goes through turn 2? Ooh, a little bit of a moment, just like Ayman Hakim's on-board lap. You get a little bit of a moment on the way out there. It will cost you time all the way down this long straight. But he is purple in Sector 1, but that could just be because he's the first car on track. But he'll take that right now. It's very important he still finishes his lap, get it done as a banker lap. Right on the anchors right now, slows the car down from about 290 kilometers per hour. Nicely done through the hairpin. Oh, too greedy. Let it run out onto the curb and just spun him round.
And he was going pretty quickly as well. Instead, let's have a look at Mohammed Khalif, who was fastest through Sector 1. Again, it could just be because he's out early. The Sector 2 time will be more interesting. He's 50, approaching the minute in the stadium section, as they call it. Yep. What is his time here?
Sector 2 coming up now. Purple again. So this is looking like a nice lap by Khalif. Now he's in the stadium section again. Nice little use of the curb there. Not too much, I feel. Must be... Ooh, you've got to try and roll off the brake early there to try and carry the speed through that long hairpin. Otherwise you will kill a lot of speed there. Kill a lot of lap time. Looked okay. Not too bad. Now on the curbs here. Early on the power for the last corner. Run out all the way into the curb. No, that's too conservative. That's too conservative, Khalif. And while I think this is good enough for pole position, you just feel there'll be some other cars out there.
136.1, but immediately he's knocked down by Nur Shazliezhan, who's gone quicker, and Jun Cheng. Jun Cheng, you've mentioned a couple of times as a racer you're keen to see, and he's got time for another full lap here. If he starts, and he may well be worth sticking with, Alex.
I think so. He's only 1,000th off pole right now. So Jun Cheng with another good job in the first part of qualifying. Now we're in the second part of qualifying. Let's see if he can inch out and find a bit more time. Ooh, he missed the apex at turn 1. That wasn't ideal. Could be better through turn 1. Let's see how his turn 2 is. Roll off the brake, carry the speed, nice and early on the throttle. Doesn't get it. Yeah, it looks quite good. Easy flat through turn 3. That's decent. That's good. But yeah, he wasn't a good Sector 1 because he lost time in that first corner. So yeah.
Starting again. That's a gamble. Again. He has no... Well, he will fit in this lap, but 1:35.861. Both he and Nur Shazliezhan are identical, ooh, but Justin Hung has gone even quicker, 0.2 quicker than Nur Shazliezhan and Jun Cheng. So Justin Hung is the new man on pole. We're on here with Nur Shazliezhan, but he is fastest, 0.2 fastest through Sector 1, Alex.
Yeah, let's stay with him. He's 0.2 up on Sector 1. We'll go back to Jun Cheng after this, because he's a little bit further back on this lap. Now it comes to the end of Sector 2. Whoa! Massive 0.3. This is an impressive lap. So let's stay on board right now with him. He's back in the stadium section. Oh, now that's nice. See how much speed he carries into the hairpin. That's the way to do it. Now through these flat out left and right. Get over to the left. Turn in. Must get to the apex to carry the speed. Oh, just perfect, really. Oh, but just a little bit too long on that curb. Meant he turned in a little bit late for the last corner. That would have cost him a bit of time. But still, it's good enough for pole.
And 0.3 quicker than Justin Hung. That's a really quick time, a 1:35.5.
Let's go back on with Jun Cheng now. He's got half a lap to go. Let's see how he comes up to the end of Sector 2. If he's within... Ooh, that's just on the limit. Let's see. It's fastest of all for him in Sector 2. But he's still 0.2 down on Shazliezhan. However, we saw Shazliezhan did not have a good last corner. So maybe if Jun Cheng is perfect over these last few corners, and he's not. He's had a moment. That's it.
So Nur Shazliezhan will be on pole position. There's still a little bit of time to go. This might change. James Russell's come in with a quick time for the second row of the grid. So Shazliezhan, Justin Hung, Jun Cheng on P3 and Russell in P4. In fact, James Russell's gone to P2. So James Russell joining the season in round 2 is looking to make a mark. Got no room for error, but James has got himself P2 ahead of Justin Hung, Jun Cheng and Darren Ivan. Another solid performance by the Singaporean.
Wow, great job by James Russell. That came out of nowhere. He didn't take part in silver in round 1 because he was karting and his karting team was racing. But yeah, it's good to see him back at the front. I know he's a bit short in practice. Let's see if he can spoil the Shazliezhan Jun Cheng party.
Well, James Russell, good to have him back on board. Nur Shazliezhan, though, is the man who is the championship leader, and you called him as maybe needing a bit more consistency. Shown consistency, is fastest for the second time, and so far, so good.
Yeah, so this is a 15-minute race. We're here at Hockenheim, and the condition looks pretty benign. No wind, good temperatures in the 20s, perfect really for racing, and the sun is out. We do have ×3 tyre wear. It's the first time Silver's been running ×3, so that will be an issue.
Okay, we are just about ready to go live. The red lights, when they go out, we will be underway, and we are on board with Nur Shazliezhan. Red lights are out, and Nur Shazliezhan is away quickly. James Russell tries to get very, very close behind him, and James has made a great start. Real pressure on Nur Shazliezhan, but Nur Shazliezhan it is who leads the way through turn 1, Alex Young.
Yeah, so nicely done to turn 2. James just there. Ooh, Shazliezhan, yes, nicely done through turn 2. You need to be perfect in this first lap, but Russell has got a good exit as well. Russell with a really good exit. Let's go on board with him as we watch. And there he is on the inside, looking very focused in his Stratos Motorsports shirt. What does he do? He's got to choose a way. Shazliezhan's not covering the inside, so James would go to the inside. Oh, he doesn't want to take the position. He's decided to brake early, decided to look after his tyres. And you know why? Because these cars have DRS, and it's a good move right now because it's 15 minutes to go. Tyre wear will be an issue. He's not being attacked from behind. These two have a small gap at the moment, so it makes sense to just stick behind. And maybe James can use a DRS and look after tyre wear, because if he's got the DRS from being within a second of the car in front, that means he can use that DRS to keep close to that car and take it easier through the corners and look after those tyres.
Just while he's looking after the tyres, a couple of guys who had bad starts. Justin Hung had started in P3. He is way down in P13 and a long, long way off the pace. And we saw Darren Ivan spin out as well. Both are driving the pink Mercedes, but Darren Ivan, having got himself in P5 in qualification, he's down to P11. And what that means is that Shazliezhan, Russell, Jun Cheng and Noah So have been able to pull clear of the rest at the end of lap 1.
Yeah, so Shazliezhan, within a second, that's just about right for Russell. He just wants to make sure he stays there. I know James Russell, he's very clever. He's always thinking about strategy. So he'll be thinking, right, I want to make sure the tyres last. I'm just going to sit here, use DRS and look after my tyres. Shazliezhan, he's also quite an experienced driver, So I hope he is thinking about the tyres, because if he tries to break away, if he tries to use up too many tyres to break away, he will struggle with tyre wear for the last few laps.
I was going to say, were you not expecting a pit stop, are we, in the 15-minute race?
We saw some of the bronze drivers earlier on try to do a pit stop in a 15-minute race. They were not able to make the tyres last, so they all pitted. Not all, about 5 or 6 of them pitted. But these silver drivers are more experienced, even though tyre wear is high. I imagine all of them will be able to look after the tyres.
James Russell trying to have a look around the outside. A little bit further down in P5, Mark Voltaire Elman is always aggressive. Here he is in the red and white, the Shell Helix Ultra. He's being attacked by Ryan Keith. In fact, he's just got ahead of the blue car of Ryan Keith. Mohammed Khalif is behind them. Noah So is in front of them. Good battle though. Ryan Keith has a look down the inside, and Ryan Keith takes Mark Voltaire Elman. So Ryan Keith up to P5, Voltaire Elman in 6, but it might change straight away because Voltaire Elman had the right line going into that corner, and those two are interchanging corner by corner, Alex.
Yeah, and allowing the cars, they're fighting again last 2 corners, they're really pushing. I hope Keith is within a second of the car in front. But look at Voltaire Elman coming back at him as well, but Keith is using the DRS and Mark is not able to get him, and then Keith will just try and pull away out of turn 1, but it's super close between the two of them.
But to answer your question, no, they are not within a second of Noah So in front of them. So their scrapping is hurting them as Elman retakes Keith, and Keith retakes Elman, and Elman has the inside, and there have been about 5-6 overtaking manoeuvres in the time we saw them. Mark Voltaire Elman has a horror moment and is pushed off the side of the track. Great fun, but in the end he disappears down to P9.
Oh, what a shame. Look at the damage in that car. That's going to cost him straight line speed as well. It just takes a moment, doesn't it, Des? Just one moment of being a little bit too adventurous, a bit too aggressive. Oh, and then someone else comes and bangs into the side of you.
Marv Dondekembe, that was, as Walter Ellman responds. But up at the front, this is interesting. James Russell just seems to be tracking Nur Shazliezhan. We're on board with James. They are lapping within 136 Nur Shazliezhan a 137.0, James Russell a 36.7 last time out. And they've got a 2.5 second lead over Jun Cheng in P3.
Yeah, James is doing everything right. He's just shadowing Shazliezhan. He's not braking too late. He's not carrying too much speed. He's not being aggressive with the throttle. He's really looking after his tyres. And this will come to him in the later stages of the race.
We're just approaching the 5-minute mark of this 50-minute race one. These two got away really sweetly at the start. They were 1 and 2 in qualification. They've extended that lead to 2.5 seconds over Jun Cheng. Let's see what is going on further down. Joseph Flores. We haven't seen a lot of Joseph. He's on the tail there of Justin Hung. Justin, who was on P3 on the grid, Alex, dropped down to P13. He's got himself up to P11, the man in pink.
Yeah, as he goes past Weisong. Is it Weisong? No, he's going past
Flores.
Sorry. A little bit of both of them getting a bit sideways in the exit of turn 2. Oh, it's going to cost him down this straight. But yes, Hung back up to P11. And he's not far from getting back into the top 10.
Dondekembe is the man in front of him. Joseph Flores is behind him. Up at the front, my apologies, James Russell made his move. While I was looking at the guys further down, James Russell made a move I wasn't anticipating, Alex. I thought he might just be shadowing Nur Shazliezhan. He's not. He's going for it.
Wow, okay, so this is early. He obviously feels he's got the pace advantage, so he's going to try and push, I think, for a couple laps, see if he can break the back of Shazliezhan, try and break the DRS gap. He's made a small mistake there. You can see that he knew that straight away, and James is really annoyed with himself. A bit of a perfectionist, James is, and that sort of small mistake will... Oh, and then another mistake there. Yeah, okay. So he's pushing really hard to try and open that gap. He will have DRS as he goes across the start-finish straight. I know he will save the one for the start-finish straight. Let's see, he comes out. There it is, DRS. The wing goes backwards, and he does. He's outside of the second. He's got a second gap to Shazliezhan. So that means Shazliezhan will not have the DRS for this lap. So if Russell can put on another 2 more laps, he might have a big enough gap, and that's how he's going to try and win this race. He's showed his hand early, but it's a really good hand at the moment.
So he must be confident that the tyres will hold out, because that is the big question. Not so much at Hockenheim, but on the rules of the game that you've done. It's the Global Edition Silver Class Season 5. The race leader is James Russell in his first appearance of the season. Nur Shazliezhan is trailing in his wake in P2. Jun Cheng 2 seconds down on him. Noah So again competing, but Ryan Keith has got himself ahead of Noah So into P4, Alex.
Wow.
As Noah goes backwards, and Ryan from Singapore makes another classy move.
Yeah, that was a textbook move there. Really nicely done. So good to see Ryan Keith up to 4th. Can he close down the gap to Jun Cheng ahead? I mean, we also saw many different Ryan Keiths in round 1, didn't we? We saw how quick he can be. A little bit naive with his racecraft sometimes, but we know how quick he can be. And he's running wide, a bit wide there. He's pulling out a gap on O. Ryan's also very aggressive, and I think he can close down the gap to Jun Cheng.
A bit of news. Marv Dondekembe, I'm afraid, is out of the race. Joseph Flores is down in P12. Justin Hung is got himself up into the top 10. Now into P9. So a recovery. And he's got Mohammed Khalif not too far away. 1.5 seconds away. He's making progress. There are the cars in front of him. Khalif in the grey. Darren Ivan in the pink. And they're having a battle, which is all good news for Justin Hung.
Very good. He's slowly going to pull himself out to this battle for sure as they go through turn 1. There we are riding on board now with Hung. And Hung there, good exit there. His last lap was a very good lap. It's a 37.2. His fastest lap was 37.2. His last lap was invalid, but I'm sure he'll be thereabouts as well. Ooh!
Nur Shazliezhan back at the front, in the front. Well, James wasn't able to pull away from him because he got just within range of DRS And Nur Shazliezhan, who was a race leader for 6 minutes, lost it for the next 3 minutes. And now in the final 6 minutes, Alex, these two are going to go toe-to-toe, tail-to-tail.
Russell must have made a mistake. He was 1.7 seconds up on Shazliezhan the last time I looked. So, and the way Shazliezhan overtook him down the back straight, I think Russell must have got a tank slapper out of turn 2 and lost all that time. And because Shazliezhan went by him without using DRS, so that must have been a mistake by Russell.
There is the gap between P1 and P2 as Russell has a little peek on the inside. We're in the stadium area. James in P2 is the man in blue chasing Nur Shazliezhan, the overall championship leader. As they come into the start-finish line, this will take them on to lap number 7. 5 minutes to go, so we've got, 3 more laps to go, I suspect, Alex.
Yeah, so look, James has to do it all over again. Is he going to use the DRS now? No, he isn't going to use the DRS. He's going to try and overtake Shazliezhan into turn 2. No, decides not to. Oh, Russell, he's getting sideways. Big sideways movement. Just about hangs on. Ooh, is he getting rattled? Is Russell getting a little bit rattled? He was so calm and collected, but he's got the DRS now. And he's so close, he's going to take the overtake. Shazliezhan will cover the inside, but it's such a long straight that Russell will comfortably be in front. But although Shazliezhan thinks about out-braking down the inside, whoa, that's coming from way back.
Oh, that's surely contact. Russell slams on the brake, and Nur Shazliezhan is the man who will just edge clear.
And Russell's using DRS now, and he gets back in front.
Onto this left-hand Mercedes bend.
Oh, he's covering the inside. But you know what? Shazliezhan's going to be super close over the line, and he'll have DRS the next lap. So this is race on. This is game on for both the drivers. At the moment, it can go either way.
If I can just break away from... Oh, I'm scared to break away from this.
Russell's gone off.
Oh, Russell, and you saw it. You saw the mistake, and that could be terminal. A look of resignation on James Russell, bottom right of your screen, because Nur Shazliezhan's able to pick up a 1.5 second, and with 2 laps to go, as they approach the start-finish line for what will be the 7th time, he will be out of DRS range, and that could be a terminal mistake for James Russell.
Yeah, and he have dirt in his tyres as well, but James shouldn't panic. There's 3 more laps to go, like you said, and I think Russell's got the pace to close the gap. He just needs to not panic and make any more mistakes. If you go back a bit from, you see Jun Cheng's now all over the back of Russell.
That was a big mistake from Russell. There is Jun Cheng. He's in the black. And Russell, rather than looking forward, is now looking backwards. Was Jun Cheng within DRS range of Russell? Yes, he was, wasn't he?
And he's got DRS and he's closing. Is he close enough before the end of the back straight? Oh, Russell's going to cover the inside. He doesn't want to let him through. And he brakes super late, and Russell holds on to it. Yeah, so even though Jun Cheng had the DRS, James was able to defend.
Ryan Keith is the man in P4. Justin Hunger's got ahead of Bernard Chan in P5. But we cannot leave this battle for P2, and James Russell has been the unwitting star of this show. At one stage where he made a move, we thought he might race away with it, but then he's made a couple of mistakes. Nur Shazliezhan's got ahead of him. Nur Shazliezhan will extend his lead at the top of the standings, we suspect, because Russell has got to focus on Jun Cheng behind him.
But look at that. Russell's been fantastic over the middle sector of this lap. He's gone from 1.7 down to within a second. So that pace that Russell has just come out of, well, not come out of nowhere, but he's just put the hammer down and he's closing the gap to Shazliezhan. Is he going to be within a second though?
I doubt he can't get it. Surely not on this lap. At 1.2 at the moment. 1.3, no, he won't be in there. 1:49. So 2 more laps to go. 2 more laps to go. If he can really put down the hammer, and you mentioned tyre wear may well come into play, Alex, but surely it's Russell who's got the problem with the tyres because he's been the one who's making the mistakes.
Yeah, he's been the one making mistakes, and he's the one been driving really hard over the last few laps. For his sake though, and because he was taking it so easy over the first 3 laps, hopefully he'll have enough tyre wear. Oh, he's made another small mistake out of that turn 2 again, and that's cost him some time, and now Shazliezhan has a very good gap now, 1.5 seconds.
1.5 seconds, surely his to lose. Jun Cheng closes right in on the tail of James Russell. That's Russell in the blue. 1.5 seconds down on Nur Shazliezhan. Oh, it looks like he's catching up just a little bit there. Nur Shazliezhan slow into the brakes. Ryan Keith P4, Bernard Chan and Wei Xiong and Mohammed Khalif have overtaken Justin Hung. Justin Hung has clearly had a real major incident, and Justin Hung indeed is looking at the barriers and not looking very, very happy with life down in P9 once again. Up at the front though, Nur Shazliezhan, his lead 1.3 seconds. Once he goes over the start-finish line, it will be for the final lap of this race. It'll take him on to lap 10. Surely that lead of 1.1 seconds, Alex?
Nah.
Is he going to hold on?
I think he is. 1.2 across the line. Oh, he's holding on. I think he's, Russell just making mistakes at the key point of this race, and that's allowed Shazliezhan to hold out of DRS zone with one more lap to go. So as long as he doesn't make any mistakes, Shazliezhan should have it in the bag.
They're coming into corner number 2. It's 2, 3, 4, sharp right, and then a couple of quick lefts. And then they come into the long parabolica, which is a straight with a curve in it leading towards the hairpin. And this, Nur Shazliezhan, has a nice healthy lead, Alex Young, and he is going to extend his lead at the top of the standings.
Yeah, he is. Championship leader, looking and driving very well. Didn't make mistakes. I don't think he had the race pace. It wasn't the fastest on the track. I think James Russell was faster, but he didn't make mistakes, and that was key. And that's what's going to give him the win today.
Will very, very quickly break off because Mohammed Khalif is under pressure from Nois O and Justin Hung. In fact, Justin Hung and Khalif go past Nois O, so Hung is for the second time trying to make some kind of a comeback. But up at the front, Alex Young, this is the man who is going to take the win. Nur Shazliezhan comes into the final corner, and Nur Shazliezhan, are we there yet? No, I'm premature, aren't I?
3 more corners to go, mate.
3 more corners, so he's in the 13, 14, 15, that double right-hander, just to negotiate nice and safely. He's kept that 1.2 second lead, and as you say, not the quickest on the track, but the most efficient, and the most efficient will go and take the win, Alex.
Yeah, there he is, crosses the finish line. He'll be super happy with that. That's a win for Shazliezhan. James Russell in second, Jun Cheng in third, Ryan Keith in fourth, and let's see who's going to come home in the line in fifth position.
Wei Xiong for one of his better performances, currently in P5. Nur Shazliezhan can relax, but Wei Xiong quite a long way down in P5. Justin Hung has got himself back up into P6, so an eventful day for the Hong Kong racer. Wei Xiong, a good 11 points for him as he comes into the home straight.
Alright, we don't have Shazliezhan on Zoom, but I wonder if we can talk to James Russell. Do you think he might be willing to talk to us?
Well, yeah, he's got no choice.
He's got no choice, hasn't he? Yeah, James, you're on the screen, so we can see your lovely face. Don't say anything rude, mate. You want to talk to us? How was the race for you?
I can't say anything rude, right?
Yeah. Frustrating?
Yeah, I can't believe I did that. That was quite dumb. I just tried to save the tires first few laps, and then when I had the chance to get him, I took it and went for it and screwed it up. So
yeah, I can imagine if that had been one of your drivers doing that, the things you'd have said to them.
Mm-hmm. I'm saying it in my head now.
I can imagine. I hope they call you up and give you trouble.
I'm sure
as
they
well.
will. I think my phone's buzzing already.
Anyway, you got one more race to try and turn it around. I was really pleased to see what pace you had, though.
Yeah, actually, I was a bit surprised. I have to thank Nakib and Tasby for that yesterday and this morning. They helped me out. It's quite a difficult car to drive, as you saw from the mistakes. It's quite easy to lose the rear on the power, and it understeers really badly when the tires go off. So it took me a while to get my head around it.
Well, anyway, mate, good luck, and thanks for that.
Thank you.
And a fastest lap for James Russell, 1:36.4. So certainly not a bad day at the office. Second place, 20 points for that, plus the fastest lap. But Nur Shazliezhan has increased his lead in the overall championship. And we spoke about consistency with Shazliezhan, and he's given you exactly what you were after there, Alex. That's a very impressive, very conservative, but effective race from Shazli.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to win championships, you have to have races like that. You know, championships are made not by being brilliant. Most championships, there's always going to be a stage where you don't have that pace. And you just got to make sure you try and maximize the result, whether it's first or fifth or 10th. You got to keep picking up those points. And yeah, Shazliezhan will be very pleased with that.
As for clarification, the reverse grid is top 12?
Top 12.
So top 12 will reverse. Only 13 starters. So Nur Shazliezhan will be starting in P12. Russell will be alongside him. Darren Ivan is a very useful man to have on pole. He can be quick. He's alongside Voltaire Elman. We are underway. Voltaire Elman is being caught up in traffic. Noiso has made a flying start. Darren Ivan has got away, but Noiso and Flores there. Ryan Keith's in there, Khalif. And Shazliezhan has decided just to stay clear of all the trouble at the end. He's got Jun Cheng in front of him and James Russell. But Darren Ivan, Alex Young, a full second lead over Bernard Chan over the first two corners.
Oh, that was a great start by the Singaporean. He really did a great job out of there. He'll be thinking, that's it, perfect. Please start fighting behind me. I want to try and get out of DRS so I don't have to worry about someone breathing down my neck, and maybe look after those tyres.
Mark Voltaire Elman got caught up in all kinds of traffic as we're on board with Nois O. Voltaire Elman has recovered to get himself into P3. Tell you what, he may not be consistent, but he's darn good fun to watch as Mark Voltaire. Nois O in P4, Flores 5, Keith in 6, Justin Hung. He had an instant packed race 1. Let's see where he is currently in P7. Goes round the outside. That's how scruffy it is. James Russell has just barged his way on the inside, but Ryan Keith is in 5 and Russell is just behind him, and he's taken Jun Cheng and Nur Shazliezhan with them. Wei Xiong has been dropped, and Nois O, who had a good start, is now in P12.
Yeah, he was a car that was spinning stage left earlier on. So yeah, he's got. Fortunate for Nois, I really would have liked to see him in the top 5. But it's not to be. Ooh, and Russell, is that Russell? Yeah, going down the inside of Hung, was it? No.
Yes.
No, that was Keith. Sorry, Keith and Flores.
Well, Keith has got into P4 as a result of that.
Yeah.
You're quite right, but Darren Ivan didn't get the 1 second differential that he's after against Bernard Chan. Bernard is clinging on for dear life, and Mark Voltaire Elman has come out of a chaotic opening to have a healthy lead over Flores and Hung and Ryan Keith. Oh, somebody's dropped out. James Russell and Flores are battling for P4. Justin Hung has been kicked into P5. As we look at that,
let's watch on board right now with Russell. See, this is going to be who's going to come out of this. Whoa, this gaggle of cars. Who's got the DRS? Oh, Russell's going to have to try and brake late. Going to have to use some tyre. Decides to brake early. Decides he didn't want to. But the car on the outside runs wide anyway. Well, that's a shame. You never really want that. You want a nice clean exit. So then we got Hung and Flores are just fighting. Ooh, what is? That's an interesting line to use. Russell using the grass of the apex nicely. Holding on at the moment. There he is in P6. Hung those all over the back of Flores. Can he get by? They need to try and get clear these cars. Oh, and he goes wide, makes a mistake, and allows Russell in the blue car through.
So Russell, his patience paid off. He's got himself into P5. Justin Hung cannot get consistency today. Nur Shazliezhan is the man rattling Justin Hung's cage. Up at the front, Alex, it's another of the pink Mercedes. Darren Ivan leads from Bernard Chan, and Mark Voltaire Elman. I do like watching Mark Voltaire because he is a risk taker. He seemed like he'd been gobbled up at the opening stage, but he is the third of 3 cars who pulled 4.5 seconds clear of the rest of the pack.
Yeah, these 3 are going to start fighting very soon. And unfortunately for these 3, once they start fighting, it's going to allow the gaggle of cars all fighting for 4th position to close in on them.
And there is the Filipino in the red and white shell colour, Darren Ivan. Again, normally very, very quick. He didn't finish in the top 6 in race number 1, and here he's losing out to Bernard Chan, and that's decent from Bernard Chan as they go lap 3, went a little bit wide, just able to cling on under the Astro banner, and you said they're going to start fighting, and they did so immediately, but they're 5.5 seconds clear of James Russell in P4.
Yeah, they're just getting a bit scrappy. There's a car in the distance making a mistake. But coming out of that battle for 4th position, James Russell, and look who's just behind him, Shazliezhan. So that great battle we saw from... Oh, and Russell again makes a mistake and allows Shazliezhan through.
Shazliezhan into P4. Russell As he just said in that little interview, it can be a difficult car to control. What does he mean? What is the particular difficulty of this vehicle at Hockenheim, Alex?
It's just very difficult. Very hard to put on the power. Very easy to lock up brakes. When you put on the power, it's very easy to get tank slappers. This car was easier to drive about a year ago, but the latest race room patch, they always strive to try and make it more realistic, has made the DTM cars very tricky to drive. So for the good drivers, that if you want to win in a DTM car, you need to put the practice in. If you don't put in the practice, you're always going to be in trouble.
We are 1/3 into this race, just over the 5-minute mark, and it is Bernard Chan from Malaysia who leads from Darren Ivan and Mark Voltaire Elman. Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines. And behind them, Shazliezhan, the championship leader in 4, ahead of Malaysia's James Russel and Ryan Keith, and Justin Hung from Hong Kong. His instant pack day carries on as the lead is retaken by Darren Ivan on that long straight as they come into this sharp right-hand corner. This is the hairpin.
Yeah, nicely done. Darren Ivan back in front, but you got a feeling that this lead's going to keep changing for the rest of the race. Elman also, they're getting very close to the top 2.
And for once, Elman's not causing any problems. What's going on?
Yeah.
What's the change of personality, Mark?
Oh, I don't know, but it's suiting him down to the ground.
It is. It did look like it'd been gobbled up at the very, very start. He dropped out to P5 or 6 at one stage. But these 3, Alex, although they're racing with each other, they are consistently increasing their lead. Russell has got himself back into 4 ahead of Nur Shazliezhan. But this next group of 4 are not making any headway on the front 3.
Yeah, that's because they're fighting over each other. They've all got DRS and they're overtaking each other lap and they're scrapping and stuff. So you got, what's that, Russell, Shazliezhan, they can see Keith in the blue car in the distance, and just behind Keith you've got Justin Hung. So these 4, you got to feel, are going to have a great scrap all the way to the end as well. But if they work together, maybe they could close down the gap to the top 3.
But it's 6 seconds. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Don't make any mistakes. You can almost read that on the forehead of James Russell, bottom right of your screen. Yeah. Up at the front, if we return to the front, Alex, Darren Ivan has still got that lead ahead of Bernard Chan and Mark Voltaire Elman. I'm waiting for the Filipino. I know he's going to do something either spectacular, remarkable, fun, dangerous. There'll be a good adjective we can put to it. Bernard Chan it is, who takes the lead at the moment.
Oh, look at that. Hung's going to come back in. Sorry, not Hung, Ivan. Yeah. But not able to. But they are closing down that gap. The top 4 are only 5.5 seconds, so that gap is getting closed.
Well, there is the second group. Justin Hung is the man at the back there, and Justin, he's had an interesting day as Ryan Keith goes around the outside of Nur Shazliezhan. Shazliezhan, he won't want to finish low down, obviously. Championship lead or not, you want to accumulate as many points as you can while you're in form.
Yeah, you do. And he doesn't want to lose the gap to Russell. And at the moment, Ryan Keith, he's a real battler, isn't he? So Keith is going to be diving down the inside at any opportunity. So Shazliezhan's like, if he loses the gap to Russell, then it's going to be really hard for him.
Well, there is the gap from Shazliezhan to Ryan Keith. That's looking backwards, so Keith and Hung are scrapping. Looking forward, Shazliezhan has got James Russell. You're dead right, Alex. They have pulled pretty close to Mark Voltaire Elman. Although it must be said, Mark Voltaire Elman has been dropped by the front 2. So clearly the Filipinos made a mistake of some description.
That is interesting, because out of the top 3, Elman is the most experienced. I would have fancied him for the race win. But you're right, he's dropped off the back, and I think the win is going to come from the front 2 now. I think Elman's got too far back.
Bernard Chan it is in the white BMW. He's got the pink Mercedes of Darren Ivan behind him. They're not 2 names that we've seen at the very top of the leaderboard too often, so they'll enjoy this moment in the spotlight as Darren has a little wiggle as he looks on Bernard. 6 minutes still to race, a lot to go. Look at the race for P4 behind them though, Alex, as Russell still holds on Nur Shazliezhan, but Ryan Keith is trying to go on the inside of Nur Shazliezhan. Singaporeans both, but I tell you what, they are scrapping like they are mortal enemies.
Wow, and Keith's going to try and go around the outside of Shazliezhan. Is he going to make it? No, they all go wide. That's going to allow Hung through as well. Ooh, Keith's going to take him by the inside, isn't he? Oh,
And Justin Hung has gone through inside Ryan Keith. And contact between Hung and Keith, and Nur Shazliezhan is there. And James Russell says, thank you very much. You two keep knocking 7 bells out of each other.
wow, that's really that's a really good scrap going on between the three of them. And that's really played into Russell's hands. And Russell's broken the 1 second barrier.
Well, there is James Russell. Has he? It's tight, you know, Alex. It's tight. Russell to Shazliezhan is exactly 1 second at the moment. It's exactly 1 second. It's 1.1. Did he break it? That's a big question. I tell you what, though, they are closing in on Mark Voltaire-Elman.
Yeah,
Mark Voltaire will be very, very worried because he doesn't have DRS and he's got that quartet of cars closing in on him.
Yeah, and just wait another lap or so, and I think James Russell will be within a second of Voltaire-Elman. I don't think he's. You're right, though. I don't think these gaggle of cars can catch the front two, though. The front two are gone, aren't they? The nice 3 second gap to Elman.
Like two sluggers fighting it out. Final round of a world championship.
Oh! And
that was Justin Hung.
Yeah, Hung tags Shazliezhan, then Shazliezhan spins in sympathy. I'm not sure. Oh, disaster. Disaster for the championship leader.
As Wei Xiong goes in front of him, and well, there's been plenty of contact. Justin Hung did tag him. There might be some work for the stewards to do afterwards. Up at the front, though, a similar colour Mercedes is leading the way. Darren Ivan and Bernard Chan. 3:35 to go. What have we got? Definitely 2, possibly 3 laps left, Alex. 3 laps.
I think you're right. So what does Ivan do right now? I mean, Darren he's not out of DRS zone, so I would start thinking about being crafty. Maybe just letting him through and trying to have DRS for the last lap. And if you go behind a bit, Des, there's a good battle for third position starting to brew as well.
Mark Voltaire-Elman has just been clawed in. At one stage he was with the front two and 5 seconds clear of James Russell. Now with 2.5 laps to go, the differential is, as you say, just a few seconds. Back up to the front, Alex. We'll return to that. Bernard Chan and Darren are having a real ding-dong battle with each other. Perhaps too early for Darren to think about it. He'll want DRS going into the final lap, won't he?
Yeah, he'd want it the final lap or this penultimate lap. It's okay for him right now. But you know, Darren's actually got some experience. He's been in silver. Bernard doesn't have that experience. You know, he's actually a copper, bronze class driver. Yes, he does a lot of sim driving at the moment, but this is only his second race in silver, and you can see maybe some of the inexperience showing a bit. And I think Darren is going to be able to use that to his advantage.
Still quite a way to go. 2 minutes remaining, 2 and a bit laps remaining. Mark Voltaire-Elman now feeling the pressure from James Russell. You called this one about 5 or 6 laps ago. I did raise my eyebrows at you saying, what do you know? Well, there's the answer. You know plenty.
Yeah. So James Russell in the blue car, blue Mercedes. Oh, nice and easy. If you want to get a good exit out of this, he's well within a second. Oh, it looks like Elman's really struggling with tyre wear now. I wonder if Russell's going to use DRS here. I don't think he is. I think he's going to use it at the next straight. He's going to just try and get a good exit out of turn 1. There he is. He'll start using the DRS now, I feel. Gets past Elman. Actually, I don't know why he's not using the DRS. Or he wants to save it for later in the lap, perhaps.
Well, that's the... he's taking him on the second curve.
Yep. He'll have the DRS now. I don't know why he's not using it, though. Oh, there he is. Finally, the rear wing tilts back. Shedding downforce, shedding drag, and he pulls away from Elman, and this should be a secure P3 for him.
P3 for James Russell. We've said that before, though. Security is not something he can guarantee because Mark Voltaire-Elman will not give this one up. He had a P2 possibly in his sights, Mark Voltaire-Elman. At the moment, Bernard Chan, the BMW, the least experienced of the guys at the front. This will be great for his confidence if he can hold on from here, Alex.
Yeah, it will be. It'd be super great for his confidence. You know, Bernard is really coming on leaps and bounds, really. And, you know, the bronze class driver, I think the way he's going now, you'll definitely see him in silver the next championship as well.
So there will be one more lap after this. They will complete this lap. Have I got that right? Yeah.
just about.
Just about complete this lap.
Yeah. 20 seconds to go. If they cross the line before the time goes out, there will be one more lap.
And I bet you Bernard Chan would love to slam on the brakes now and smash into the back of Darren Ivan, but that would be cheating. One final lap. Bernard Chan, though, feels the pressure from the Singaporean Darren Ivan. Darren has got DRS, looks on the inside, has got opportunities to use it. This time goes on the outside, and Bernard just slams that corner shut. Round 2, 3 and 4. Now we've got the long straight with a King Parabolica. Is this the time, Alex Young?
Yeah, he's got the DRS open, Darren does. Takes the lead. Bernard needs to try and get back into the slipstream. Yeah, I didn't get into the slipstream enough. That's showing his inexperience there. Bernard should have really tried to just jump straight into the slipstream, and maybe he could have had a chance of diving down the inside of the hairpin. But as it is, he didn't get used to the slipstream, and now Ivan is gone.
So Darren is looking for an inaugural victory at the eRacing GP. We're into season 5. It is accelerating away. Hockenheim, a happy hunting place. What happened to Bernard then? Bernard Chan. Oh, it's
a server.
It's a server issue.
They're still okay. Phew.
Okay, that would have been harsh on Bernard.
Well,
but he's still hanging in there. Still just half a second down.
Okay, so the server issue has meant that it's damaged all the cars. But half a lap to go. Hopefully they can still finish the race. James Russell's also got damaged cars. They've all got damaged cars. But at the moment, they look like they're still in one piece. Whew.
Darren trying to just negotiate his way around the last couple of corners. This will be a famous victory. Bernard Chan tries to get up close, but it's going to be Darren Ivan Reijan in the Mercedes who will take his first ERGP victory. Bernard Chan in P2, Russell 3, Mark Voltaire Elman will come through ahead of Ryan Keith and Jun Cheng. Nur Shazliezhan, the championship leader, down in P7. Bernard Chan doing a spin, giving us a bit of smoke and rubber to celebrate his second place, but it might have been a first place. Instead, Alex, that belongs to Darren Ivan Reijan.
Yeah, great result for him. I think it's his first win in silver.
Yes.
He's finished in podiums before, I think. But great result for him. Well done, well done. He'll hopefully this is the sort of result that will help him grow in confidence, and he'll grow up from here.
Shazliezhan down in P7, so he won't do well. That was a scary moment in the last lap when we had a server issue, and suddenly Bernard disappeared, as everybody is disappearing off the server. We will get confirmation of the race results, but Darren Ivan, he is the man who has got the victory. Was he the fastest lap as well? I think.
No, he didn't. That went to Bernard Chan.
It did. Bernard was very, very quick there.
Very impressive, actually.
I understand his celebrations at the end. He may have lost it on the last lap, but he was competitive. He got away nice and early. And you mentioned inexperience a couple of times in that in the commentary. He did show it when he didn't pull into the slipstream, but generally he'll take a ton of confidence.
Yeah, I mean, Bernard's going to be a superstar of the future for sure, and we'll see him in sim racing for a long time. He's also drifts. He does all sorts of stuff. He does track days and stuff and everything. So yeah, he's a real motorsport fanatic.
So Darren Ivan takes his first ever win. Bernard Chan will pick up points. The results are being confirmed. James Russell in 3. Mark Voltaire Elman, a decent P4 for the Filipino. Ryan Keith, Jun Cheng, Nur Shazliezhan will retain the championship lead, I suspect, because the reverse grid race has less points. But a 7th place for him, ahead of Wei Xiong, Justin Hung, who was very, very entertaining, if not many points, and Mohammed Khalif completing the top 10 lineup. Fastest lap, indeed, going to Bernard Chan. So that is a 12 points for the second place, plus 2 points for the fastest lap. 14 points for Bernard.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, well done. And we got that silver done now as well, actually, isn't it? We got gold. We've got the highlights for gold coming up first, and then we'll get to gold as proper.
Competitive racing on eRacing GP. We are in Global Edition Season 5, Round 2 of 5. After the break, we are going for gold.
Pewter is about possibilities. It is an idea made real. crafted with precision. It can make tradition timeless. Pewter evolves. When allowed to be free, it can captivate you. Pewter is our legacy, and we're keeping the legacy alive. Royal Selangor, since 1885.
Things to be aware of organizing eRacing Championship without race room. First, no automated leaderboard would always be labor intensive. Elimination round would be the only way to filter the winners. Having the participants adhering to the schedule would be a huge test. We need to know the task will get bigger when participants increases. Time consuming. Organizing eRacing Championship without race room, it's all need run manually to take down the participants and eliminate them from first round group to final round group. Because it is manual human labor, there bound to be human error. Manual human labor would have a price tag for the man-hours involved. New participants would never have chance. The eRacing clubs in the world will send their best racers to participate the race. But that means your championship exposure is just limited to the eRacing clubs. Why choose race room? R3E official championship have fully automated leaderboard. Participants can log in anytime to leave the fastest lap time within the qualifying period. Each of the racers already have their ranks with race room. Next, save time. You can have unlimited amounts of participants in a super short time to qualifying them to final race. Race room can cover unlimited amount of participants. We have a full automated esports ecosystem from qualifying leaderboard to broadcast AI. Besides, race room's free contents lets everyone can participate to the race.